Hello, my friends, and welcome to another segment of the Astrological Weather Report, where, as you know, every month I'm joined by my good friend Rodney Goodwin, who is a astrology wizard, and we dive into the charts to give you a projection of the coming month. What are the energies at play, and what can you expect? So March is set to be a very eventful month, containing a time to set and calibrate your boundaries and to really focus in on actualizing your inner vision, your bringing your gifts into the world. And then a time to take spiritual inventory, to check in with yourself and make sure that you are on point with your spiritual disciplines. So we're going to unpack all of that and more. That's coming up next. Stay tuned. All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome in. Hit that like button on your way in and get settled. Get yourself a nice coffee or something. We've got a good episode lined up for you today. Of course, joining us as always is Mr. Rodney Goodwin, or Astrodney as he's known. What's up, brother? Welcome.
Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good today.
It's definitely
Some good
been
stuff in store for us.
A wild ride this last week or two. We've had some, major transits and major things taking place that are directly affecting not only our thought forms but also, our internal emotional, intelligence as well, man. So it's been there's been a lot going on with these transits. Right now we're in a full moon in Virgo. It's the 24th of February. And we are experiencing that full moon right now. And, anytime we have a full moon, it's in opposition to the sun, so that's how the gates work in context of the axis. So whatever gate the sun is, if you have a full moon, the moon's going to be in the opposition of that gate at the same degree. So that's kind of how a full moon works. So then, of course, we have the new moon, which is a conjunction, in the gate itself. So this is kind of what's going on right now. I'd like to talk about, oppositions a little bit today, and I definitely want to get into that North Node Chiron conjunction that's taking place. And that was on February 19th that we got the conjunction, and we're still in that energy. It's going to be around for a while, and so this is a great time for integration. And in context to what it's actually signaling as well, not only on your individual level, but on a collective level. So it's pretty important transit, that we need to talk about as well.
Nice. I'm curious if this affects me in a certain kind of way, being that I have the Virgo moon.
Oh, well, yeah, because it depends on what degree you're at. When you're looking at, kind of how things are. I mean, what degree is your Virgo moon, I guess is the question.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah. So if it's somewhere, we're at 5 degrees right now, Pisces with the sun. So that puts the moon right around, 5 degrees Virgo, 6 degrees. So, if you're in that 8 degree area, you're gonna feel this, and sometimes, when you've got that 6th gate energy, which I have a lot of that going on, not only with my moon, but also, Chiron, and dealing with like Plutonian energy as well, and Uranus energy. That 6th gate's a very powerful gate because this is the place where everything happens, man, is then that Virgo gate. And then as everything goes down from there, down to Aries, that's where all the kind of the consciousness lockdown is, kind of Virgo is the health gate. So when we're looking at the health, what are we looking at on a collective level? We're looking at a lot of, wizardry and dark sorcery with the pharmakia aspect when we're talking about people's health, and so all of that translates into, not people not like wanting to take care of themselves. They'd just rather take a pill. They'd rather, take something that's going to treat the symptom, but not get to the underlying cause. And Virgo is about getting to the underlying cause of something that's taking place finding it scientifically with logic and reason, and diving into those deep spaces where you can actually, dismantle something and then take a look at it and see, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and this to my protocol, and then bring that online and start working with that energy, working with those herbs, working with, whatever, and then take it and start to heal. A lot of people that have that Virgo moon or Virgo sun or Virgo ascendant, they're very conscious about their health, and so when a person is not able to integrate that, they just want to take that pill. They want pharmacy or big pharma to take care of them. Then, that's just a slippery slope, because it just throws you in a snowball to the next pill and to the next thing, and then pretty soon you're taking 5, 6, 7 different pharmaceuticals, for one for this, one for that, one for this, one for that. Try to take care and keep yourself motivated and going, but yet you're relying on something that is dark sorcery or dark wizardry outside yourself in context to that. And that's a lot of what the Virgo gate's all about.
Absolutely.
So that's where we're at right now. So kind of what I want to get into is, this opposition. So what is an opposition? An opposition is, two planetary aspects that are opposing each other within a 4 to 6 degree, range. So they're on the opposite spectrums of the gate itself. And so what happens is that when something like the Virgo full moon is happening right now, what is that doing? That's opposing the sun. So it's kind of like cutting off the energy of the Pisces and allowing your navigation, your mind to integrate that Virgo area with your moon right now. See? And so you get a chance to look at, not only your potential, not only your hard work, because Virgos work very hard. Virgos are very meticulous about what they do, and they want to be able to do things right, correctly, and in alignment and in protocol. And so a lot of times what happens is that we try to maybe work too hard with that Virgo energy, and we don't necessarily pull back in our logic and reason, and then be able to integrate what we've put our hand to do, and then look at how we can do it easier for ourselves. How we can make it easier on ourselves to get something done and get the same result, yet we didn't have to work quite as hard to do that. And so that's kind of what this energy is all about. It's kind of like being able to illuminate the mind with the Virgo energy, pull back and integrate that 6th gate within your moon energy. And that integration then begins to have a big impact. And this is how we work with our moon and our sun, because when we're looking at how it moves to the gate, every gate it moves into, we have a new moon cycle, and then we have a full moon cycle. And it continues to roll like that on oppositions and conjunctions. So conjunctions are aspects that are challenging, and so are oppositions. So when we have sun and moon conjunct in a gate, what's happening? We're trying to union or bring union between our mind and our soul. It's purpose. When we have an opposition, that particular energy is cut off to your sun, so that your mind then can integrate that gate on another level. And this is how the oppositions kind of work together, when we're working with our sun and the moon. So when as a new student or as someone who's getting into astrology, if you can start to just realize how to work with your sun and moon, it will literally change the perspective of how your path works, just leveling up your path work, and just, following the moon signs, know where your moon is, realizing how your system works with your moon energy, and then being able to integrate each gate all the way through the 13 cycles of the moon to your soul spark, to your moon energy, and then bringing that together to formulate a higher level of consciousness and awareness, so that you can input your magic not only into your own personal path work, but then have an impact on the collective consciousness as well.
It's powerful.
So that's kind of how the moon cycles and sun cycles work in kind of a small microcosm nutshell, aspect. So we are in this full moon energy full on right now.
Yeah, so it's such a cool depiction of kind of the animistic mindset of everything is moving, cycles back and forth, and
Yes.
everything is part of the whole, right? Because looking at the human being as this, it's not just this unified centralized thing. It's an ecosystem of different aspects that are all working together, just as the universe is. This is the animistic mindset that's really, really crucial. And I just think astrology is such a beautiful depiction of that, especially because it's something you can actually work with. It's a system that's extremely practical and useful.
Yeah, I mean, astrotheology is a science, and so when you break down the science, you start to create an awareness with your own consciousness and how how your system works. And then, I've been able to, through the process of that personally, I've been able to like then level up certain aspects of with my awareness to see how the threads work and how everything's threading through certain aspects, not only to your own templating on the solar spiral, but then also how you are going to work or manifest on a collective level. And so, you know, there's so much going on, man. I mean, humanity is in a really not in a good place. I mean, where things are right now, there's so much you know, just I had this vision the other night. I was laying in bed and there was this like reservoir of energy, and it looked like I was kind of looking at the collective energy of of the planet, and then I would see like this tap into it, like tapping into like an oil rig, or drilling, and there was this drill that would go into that, and it would suck, it would pull, pull life force out of that collective you know energy of the whole, and it kept doing that, and that energy began to just basically contract, and it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it was like, it's like getting that last sip of of soda or whatever that you're trying to get out of the bottom of the fucking jar, or of your glass, and you know how your straw makes that sound, right? It started doing that. I started hearing that, and I'm like going, what the hell, man? And it's like humanity is on this precipice of really just going into this oblivion AI timeline where what the hell are they going to do with that? In context to just the actual siphoning of the energy itself on a collective level. And that's why all of us together as mages and are doing this work, and if you're studying astrotheology or astropsychology, you're studying different systems, Vedic system, you're studying tropical or Western or even Mayan, or getting into different aspects of that, or any art of gnosis for that matter. You've got to understand how they weave together, number one. But number two, you got to level up your game here, because shit is really going to it's not going to let up. Things are going to get, it's going to, continue to boil. Things are going to continue to get hot. Things continue to boil on the planet. And so, we have to be doing that work just to integrate the energies and the stellar activations that are going on the solar spiral, on the galactic spiral that are incoming, and this is the work that we do, and that's why it's very important to at least have a basic knowledge of your solar templating. So that's kind of what's going on with the Virgo new moon right now, and kind of how moon and sun works in cycles. And this, I just got to say this. I mean, I know people are feeling this too, but it just feels like right now on a collective level that everything is feels unstable, like like a boat. It's like this, like there's this this lack of stability that's taking place, and grounding that's happening,
Right.
because of this powerful Aries energy that we're having with this North Node Chiron conjunction that's taking place. And and that is really, when you look at your North Node, that's your go-to, man. That's your that's your navigation, that's your North Star. That's what you're here to integrate in context. So by moving towards your north node, you heal your south node, which is your karmic aspect. So as we're moving towards that north node, it's conjunct the wounded healer. And what is that?
Mhm.
What is Chiron? Chiron is the centaur. It's half horse, half man. And when we're thinking of a horse, I always go back to Iwas, when we're talking about the runes, and the trust of oneself and the steady progress in that trusting of oneself to level up your consciousness and to have that tenacity and strength and confidence to know that what you're doing, even though maybe it's not 100% correct, that you are still moving forward. You're
Mm.
not allowing yourself to get stagnant. And that's a lot of what this transit's about. It's about testing our stagnation in context to what our motivation and what our motivations are to the intent of what we want to see happen in our own personal lives.
Yeah, that's very interesting because for me, this probably like past week or so, things have felt extremely surreal. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've experienced
Yeah.
that, or anyone
Oh, yeah.
in the comments, maybe let us know if you've been feeling that way. But it's kind of like what you said. It's almost like you're in this dream state where you don't feel necessarily that grounded. It's not that anything's wrong per se, but you're just kind of going through the motions, and the days are passing by. But for me personally, I've been extremely focused on completing this big project that I haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Good.
really close to being finished with that, and I mean, it's coming together so well. I'm extremely proud of the way it's shaping up, and I'm really excited to bring that forward very soon. But basically, that's been like my North Star, is
Yeah.
just like, even though I feel almost like, dismembered head just kind of floating through life, I'm still just eye on the prize and using that to keep me oriented and anchored and just moving forward. And like, it's working really well.
Yeah. I mean, trying to get motivated sometimes with this energy is difficult because there are setbacks with this because you're dealing with not only the wound, but you're also dealing with your gift. So, when we're talking about a wound or a core wound, what are we talking about? We're talking about the betrayal of our own ignition and our own soul spark ignition as a human being. And that's what has really been, cut off from, we've been cut off from that. I mean, if you just look at how things are, we're on that 23.4 axis on the planet, so we're at a tilt. We're cut off from true north. You know that 2, 3, and 4, 4, 3, and 2 is the 9. So when we're looking at the actual energy of the force itself, that's what we've been cut off from because of that. And then we're still in that cosmic kind of winter with the poles, because the poles have are frozen over. They're talking about all the shit they're finding in Antarctica, these huge pyramids and all this stuff that's been under ice. And so, when we're looking at what we've been cut off from in context to our true Polaris solar north aspect, what happens is that that's how humanity is being manipulated on the spindle of the 9 itself. And this is where all of the siphoning takes place and all the harvesting and all the bullshit that we're looking at, that we're seeing happening day after day after day on the planet. And that's why when we're looking at an Aries north node, when we're looking at that type of energy, what is our south node then? It's Libra. And this is where where the south node needs to heal and humanity needs to heal to find balance within the collective. And that's what we don't have. We're polarized. We're pulled on the pendulum swing in context to the law of rhythm. We're pulled back and forth. And so that Chiron energy on that north node is all about not just understanding what your wound is, or where you are wounded as a man or masculine force or feminine force, but also how you're going to integrate your gift not only to yourself, which is igniting your soul, purpose and finding that purpose in your own life where you are, it gets you excited, it gets you, where you are, your sun is igniting, but also where that wound is in context to your triggering and where you still need to heal as a man, as a woman, and then being able to bring that feminine and masculine force, which are the polarities, negative and positive, bring that masculine force into that Libra energy and balance it so that the masculine and the feminine can integrate together. We just had this conjunction with Venus and Mars that was just happened, and that was conjunct with Pluto. They both passed through that Plutonian energy. And let me tell you, when people were assholes, I just couldn't believe the energies that were going on, what people were doing. Yeah. I mean, just like on the road, cutting you off. I was driving down the road, minding my own business, and I just slowed down a little bit because I was looking for a place I wanted to pull over, and I thought, is this it? And I kid you not, you know how you're supposed to, when you're past somebody, you pass them on the, on the left, when you're going. This girl was passing me on the right. I was getting ready to turn, and she passed me on the right, and I almost hit her. And so I backed up and I rolled down my window and I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "You're an asshole," and she just started cussing me out and flipping me off. And she got out of her
projection.
Car. I'm going to call the police. I mean, just absolutely rode in on. And I just rolled my window up and went on. But it's just like, that's the kind of energy that we were dealing with. We're dealing with this Chiron, because
I've been having a lot of that on the roads as well.
Yeah, a lot of road rage. So that wound is going to be kicking up here, and very much amplified on a collective level. People don't even know why they're getting their panties in a bundle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, lack of self-awareness, lack of
absolutely
astrological knowledge, lack of friends named Rodney, I guess. But yeah, that healing and integration, those have to go hand in hand. That's what healing is.
Yes.
It's holing. Healing is holing. You're becoming whole again. You're integrating and healing those aspects that have been sharded off, and are in dysfunction with the whole ecosystem, like I was talking about earlier.
Yes. That's right. And Chiron's a very important, aspect to that. I mean, the only, when you look at Sagittarius, it's also the Centaur, so there's a lot of energies that are a lot of the same kind of integration energies when we look at Sagittarius and then the Jupiter aspect. And then we look at Chiron because obviously, Jupiter is Saturn's son, but also when we look at it in the mythos, Saturn didn't teach Jupiter, Chiron did. So when we start to look at how Chiron works, Chiron is the teacher of the gods,
a teacher of teachers,
man. So nice. That's what we're dealing with. And Chiron, sacrificed himself for Prometheus. Prometheus was doomed to an eternal life of an eagle eating his liver every day. And so Chiron basically said, I'm not going to allow that. So he allowed his immortality to be challenged in context to that, and then he picked it back up on the other side, in that aspect to free Prometheus, And so when we're looking at how that energy actually works, it is an energy of sacrifice, but it is a sacrifice of understanding what those archetypes represent, being half man, half God, being a Thor, half giant, half human, those type of energies and archetypes, how we are integrating our God consciousness as a human being, and how that, how that stair step, when we're trying to climb, the quote unquote stairway to heaven or the mountain of Capricorn in context, this is how we're integrating our God consciousness step by step by step. And so when we're looking at, these type of archetypes, the Thor archetype, Prometheus, this type of thing, what are we looking at? We're looking at showing us a mirror or a picture of how we can integrate our God consciousness into the human experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that being the bridge between the heaven and the earth kind of a thing.
Yes, exactly. And so when you're looking at something called the Bifrost, that's that bridge
Yes,
from
the
Midgard to
Rainbow Bridge.
Asgard. So that's what we're dealing
Exactly.
with here, is that integration between Midgard and Asgard on an internal level.
The Axis
And
Mundi.
exactly, man, and that is, that's dealing with the cross, and the actual cross, the real cross, not this, shit that they threw out there to seal everybody off. But this is that North Node energy. This is what, when we're looking at that Aries North Node and that conjunction with Chiron, this is what we're dealing with. So when you're trying to heal that Libra energy, when we're looking at Libra, that's partnerships and relationships, and dealing with the relationships between men and women, and between your partner and business partners. All of that is integrating right now. We're starting to see business come together, business partners come together. We're starting to see people starting new businesses. I'm starting a new business. This is that Libra
I'm
energy.
starting a new business.
Yes, this is that Libra energy when we're talking about that South Node, and this is how we heal it. By taking our wisdom now, taking what we've learned, what we've integrated, and then now applying that not only to our own lives, but then making an impact back into the matrix to actually have an impact and bring that magic in. Look, these projects that we want to do, these things that we want to, spark with the Aquarian energy, talking about the humanitarian aspect and all this, right? It's going to take finances to do this. Somebody's got to go back into the matrix and pull that money out from the ethers with our magic. Pull that money in, pull that gold, pull that silver in that we've integrated in our own system.
Mm.
In vibrational correspondence. So we're cultivating the consciousness of gold, the sun, consciousness of silver, the moon, and bringing that energy now, pulling that energy back in. So then those finances can be released to these mystery schools and the great work, and dealing with, what we want to do as far as, integrate humanitarian projects on another level and bring the actual real shit to the world. Not just talking about it, not just having another podcast about it, but actually doing that work, getting it done. That's the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I know that I have magic. I know that I have a gift. I know that I have certain things that I'm really good at. And so I'm going to take that gift. I'm going to take that magic, my soul, my purpose, what I love to do, and I'm going to pull that energy in. And I'm going to integrate it so that others who are doing this great work, that have these schools set up, that have this stuff going on, that are part of the great work, can be funded. And this is part of the process, man, that we have to see the big picture. And that is the Piscean energy, looking at the big picture in the overall bird's eye view context.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that's how I'm seeing it.
well said. Yeah, that's so important, man. We need the resources. The first rune is Fehu.
Yes.
That's literally step one. If you don't have that in order in hand, you're gonna have a really hard time doing anything else from there. So it's about ultimately right livelihood.
Yes.
There are ethical ways to earn and to create and
Yes.
attract wealth and abundance for yourself, and utilizing your magic, as you were just speaking to as well. I mean, magic is so integral, and just the act of creation, right? That is what we've been cut off from with this matrix slave system, right?
Yes.
you're,
Yes.
you're expending your energy for someone else's vision, their magic, and you're not creating anything of your own, or certainly not to your own benefit, other than just trading your life for money, trading your time for money.
Right, and that's the system that they have us locked down in. Your everything you put your hand, your mind, your feet, everything you do with your energy and your life force is all about harvesting that energy, and bringing you into a place where you're sold off basically on the stock exchange. That's
Hmm.
basically what that is. I mean, we don't, people don't realize what that actually is, but when you're looking at
Yeah.
the actual Taurus energy with goods and services, it's really you that's being sold and bought. It's
Facts.
basically, the human race that's being sold and bought.
Right.
And so that's what you boil it down to. I mean, you think about it like that, you're like, oh wow, I didn't think about it like that.
Might as well just tattoo a barcode right here on your forehead
Exactly. And this
with
is
your
how
social security
it
number at the
works.
bottom.
Yeah, I mean, this is how they work with the harvesting aspect. You actually have an amount of money in your lifetime that they value you as. You're just a piece of meat. You're just basically a cattle that's tagged, a cow that's tagged, and you look at the Fehu energy as resources, so you
Yeah.
see how that's inverted. I mean, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, I encourage anybody who may be feeling out there that they've got something that's ticking inside of them, that's cooking inside of them, that's ready, wants to come out, and you're good at it and you're gifted at it, find a way to, even if it's at a smaller level, find a way to integrate a business into your own life.
Yep. Start small. Start with like a side hustle or something like that.
Exactly. Get
You
something
know,
going in your life where you are forging it. You're not
and then
forging
you can
someone
grow
else's
that.
shit.
Yeah, yeah. Just like anything, part of the creative process is you start with something, and then the biggest leap is from nothing to something, and then once you have
Yes.
something, then you have something to work with and start to shape and mold like a blank piece of clay, or just if you're composing a song, just like a few chords that you put together. Now you have something that you can work with as the prima materia to start
Right.
shaping and then growing that into something. And eventually, if you're diligent and consistent over time, maybe takes years.
Yes.
Eventually, that can grow and grow until it starts to overtake your day job or whatever it is, and it will make sense at a certain point that you can transition over.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But you got to start somewhere,
Yeah,
and
I mean, I'm
and
still working on that myself. It's a long process, but I'm definitely, this year is a big pivotal point for me. I've got several big projects that are coming down the pipeline that are going to really shift things, um, as far as my lifestyle and my monetary situation and everything. And so I think this will be the first of several big steps on kind of my 5-year plan to eventually be totally out of the workforce, as it were, and be fully on my purpose, as
yeah.
far as being a creator of many different things, a teacher, and just the things that I feel called to on my life path.
Yeah, and when you're looking at, these conjunctions and what they're signaling, Aries is a cardinal sign, so it's initiatory context. So when you're looking at your templating, when you're looking at your solar spiral, look for your cardinal energies, with your initiatory energies, and how you initiate things. So you want to look at your air sign. You want to look at your Libra energy, okay, because that's cardinal energies, cardinal air. And so when you're looking at that, look, the Aries energy is the fire element. That's the cardinal for fire. You know, and so this is where things get initiated. When you're looking at the water, what's the cardinal for water? You know, when you're looking at it, you're going, oh wow, well, it's not Pisces and it's not Scorpio. What is it? It's it's Cancer. So Cancer becomes the initiatory project, and energy that you are able to initiate, which is your emotional intelligence. See, so each sign, and when we're looking at the Earth element, it's Capricorn. So each sign is on, and we're looking at cardinal signs or initiatory signs. That is the axis mundi. That is the Grand Cross.
Uh,
To the cycles themselves when we're looking at the seasons that change.
right.
So anytime when we're coming into a change of seasons, whether it's equinox or solstice, we're looking at initiatory energies in context. So if you have those type of initiatory energies in your templating, look where they're integrated into, look at where they're aspecting, and look at what house placing is back behind the gate that particular cardinal energy is being initiated into. It will give you a game plan in context to how you initiate things and the way that you're able to do it. Then see that'll and make you much more successful when you're starting an adventure or a project or whatever it may be. So
outstanding.
Yeah. So this is kind of how we work with astrology, in a way as well. So
what's the next thing we're talking about today?
Well, we've got right now we've got Sun is in Pisces. Of course, we all know the Saturn sitting there in Pisces, grinding it out. So we've got a conjunction here coming up in a few days on the 28th, Sun and Saturn conjunct. So that's going to give us a reality check of our progress. Of course, when we're looking at the Piscean energy, we're looking at no boundaries. We're looking at, the big picture, the isolation, the hermetical aspect, your psychic abilities, all of your meditation, your spiritual life. That's all the Pisces energy. And so Saturn's sitting there making and examining that, doing a checklist, okay, man, have you been meditating? Have you been, drawing the circle? Have you been, taking time for yourself? Have you been isolating and pulling back, taking time to work through psychological aspects? Where are your triggers still? All of this is like coming into the CEO's office and you're sitting down in front of the CEO and he starts to grill you, so this is kind of the same thing. Saturn being the kind of the taskmaster, saying, okay, man,
it's your cosmic evaluation,
evaluating your path work and your cosmic journey here when Sun comes into conjunction, and so where Neptune, wants to dissolve boundaries, and that's Piscean energy, Saturn wants to draw boundaries, so you have this kind of, conundrum with this, where, okay, all right, so I've got to learn how to draw boundaries, but then again, I want to be able to see the big picture and dissolve those boundaries, so it's a balance when you're trying to find the reason why we draw boundaries is because we want to basically set those boundaries that protect our auric field, so we're not getting hooked in on, and be that, realize that we are that goat, we are that individual that's climbing that mountain, that sovereignty, free will. But then on the other hand, when you're looking at Neptune's like, hey man, what can you imagine? What can you dream? So we're looking at, being able to dream the dream and dream big, but then how do we do that and integrate that and then set the boundaries to seal off, things so that we aren't being, basically pulled into a bunch of emotional bullshit while we're trying to do that,
Yeah, because you got your personal boundaries, which you get to set for yourself, and that is an ongoing process, right? We're always calibrating in any given situation to adjust those boundaries to be at an appropriate level where you're not overly encroaching on someone else or too protective, but you're also not compromising your own dignity and well-being, right? But then there's the concept of boundaries as far as like in context to natural law, the cosmic law.
Yes.
What is the realm of possibility, right? You can imagine lots of things, but you have to also temper that with what is beyond what you maybe think is possible, but still you have to keep it grounded to some degree, because if you have ideas that are just completely impossible or just so unrealistic, then you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment, frustration, and failure ultimately. So there's another aspect to that where you have to kind of dream big and set those boundaries of like, what are the boundaries of possibility as well, and like push yourself, challenge yourself to go further than what you think you might can do, but also make sure that you can actually do that, because you have to tap into the momentum, right? When you have
Yeah.
a succession, trying to say like success in succession, right? That's what that was what
Right.
I got
It's folding
tongue
in on
tied.
itself. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Right.
like that. It's like each little victory kind of boosts your confidence,
It
and
does.
you're building up your power and moving on to the next one. But if you're getting hit with failure after failure, that's going to kind of beat you down to the point where like you kind of get defeated, and maybe that's the time to kind of stop and self-reflect and figure out and again calibrate those boundaries, not only of your own personal autonomy and sovereignty, but what what your goals and um, what you're going for, what your intentions are.
Right. And that's this energy that we're looking at, what it's signaling, is that type of thing. You have to boundaries are healthy. You have to have them. You can't let people walk all over you, and not set any boundaries, and then you're just being used, and take advantage of. So a person who is sovereign is able to, draw those boundaries, and then take that construct, take those boundaries, take how that's working with you. You're healthy, you're sealing things off, you're not getting pulled into bullshit. Emotional intelligence is online, and you're trying to stay in alignment the best that you can with things. And then that's when the ideas, then the things open up in your imagination, to where that's where the dream starts to happen. See, because
That's
you're healthy enough to where you're not getting pulled in to the polarities and just trying to survive anymore. You're actually wanting to learn how to thrive in your life. And that's where the imagination then starts to kick in, because you're in
yeah.
that space.
Yeah, and that was just sparking yet another thing to balance when it comes to your own magic, is when you're activating the left and right brain. If you're too in your head and in the left brain, then there's too much constriction. You're like kind of self-limiting. You're micromanaging. You're too like self-critical and all these things, and you need to pull that back and allow room, because that's where the creative mind can step in, and that's where you're really tapping into that magic, because you're tapping into intuition and creativity and just
Yes.
that kind of like imagination ultimately.
Yeah. And that kind of is the 612 axis when we're looking at Virgo and Pisces. That
Yeah,
really is the hemispheres of the mind. And when we're looking at,
that's brilliant.
astropsychology, you
I
know,
love that. Yeah.
yeah, so
Because
that's,
if you're not, yeah, if you're cut off from that, from those aspects of your consciousness, your magic is going to be extremely limited and stunted.
yeah, that's exactly right. And then that's when you get frustrated. And then the shadow aspect starts to pop up. What's the point? I'm just going to give
That's
up. I don't want to do this anymore. It's
that's what
too
I like to
hard.
call
You know,
that's what I like to call the spiritual blue balls.
yeah, exactly. And so then stagnation tries to set in and grab a hold of you, to where you're not forging anything, you're just existing. you know uh, you know it's just, what's the point? All that stuff tries to creep into your thought forms, because that's not who you are. And once you recognize those shadow aspects, then that's when you got to learn how to transmute that energy, man. If you're not
And ground.
transmuting, grounding and transmuting, on a daily basis, you better start, because shit's gonna get really crazy this year, next year. And we're here to ground, be a grounding plug, grounding force, of nature within ourselves, connected to nature, connected to the cosmos, connected to the North Star, and then really becoming an actual force to be dealt with in the matrix system itself. And we're talking collective consciousness.
Boom.
That's what we're all about, man. And this is where we have to have that level of confidence that we know that we're in alignment. We know we have that confidence that our heart is online, our heart core intelligence is pumping hardcore, and our mind is focused with natural law and principles. We're integrating those within our life, and then boom, we're making an impact. We're stepping out in that confidence, that Leo energy, that kingship. We're stepping out into that with full confidence, knowing that we are making ripple effects on the reality field itself. This is where they don't want us to get. This is where they don't want us to integrate into. This is where they don't want us to come in as mages, and be able to actually have an impact on the reality field to take the shit back, And this is what we're fighting for. This is what the war is really all about when we're looking at it in context.
Well said, man. So would you like to maybe just briefly kind of recap everything we covered? What are the conjunctions, and just like a little soundbite of what each is meaning for you in those listening, and then what's the correct response or action to make the most of those?
Yeah, so the Virgo new moon energies right now, when what kind of what we started, that's really about it's opposing that sun in Pisces. So we're trying to pull into more of a a protocol space where we're trying to get our house in order, trying to get everything in order in our own physical life, our mental life, and being able then to bring things into a place where we can really look at where our mind, our thoughts are wielding, how we're working with our physical aspect, what type of protocols to health are we implementing into our lives. This is all a part of that Virgo moon that we want to level up here. Virgo is what? It's the virgin, right? So it's innocence. So it's really learning how to tap into understanding that this is a purity type of gate, more so like because of the health aspect. So trying to put more pure things into your physical body, and realizing that food is energy. Everything that you put into your body, that you eat, that you drink, is energy. You're putting
and
energy
your mental
into
diet
your
as
body.
well.
Exactly. And the same thing with your mental and emotional aspect when you're dealing with that. Pisces being a water sign, so it's more emotional. Virgo being an earth sign, so it's more grounded. So that you're trying to ground your imagination into a space where where things are more well-rounded, balancing than that 6-12 axis between logic and reason and imagination in that Libra energy, and finding that balance, not allowing your heart to get weighed down. So that's big, so that's kind of that Virgo energy. And then when we're dealing with that North Node conjunction with Chiron, that's going to be going on for a month, heavy at least. When we're talking about those planetary aspects, don't move fast. Chiron 7 years through that Aries gate. It's not moving real fast. North Node is 1.5 years transit through each gate. The last time we had a North Node Chiron conjunction was 2008. So go back to 2008 and look at where your life was. Look at what was going on in your life at 2008, and bring that full circle to 2024 now, where we're at right now. Take an evaluation, of okay, well, I was here in 2008. Now I'm here. I'm having this conjunction. This hasn't happened in 16 years or so. So wow. We're looking at a very powerful conjunction that's taking place. So integrating, realizing, you still have woundedness, you still have things in your life you need to heal. We all do. None of us have arrived here, but then also understanding that you have a gift, and that gift is your soul's purpose. That's that soul integration, that purpose, why you're here. Why did you incarnate? Why did you come to Earth? And find what lights up your soul. That's what this is talking about. What lights up your heart, and then that is going to then bring that momentum, that power base in context to that North Node, where that initiatory power then to the Aries, into your warrior aspect, your Mars energy starts to kick in. See, and that is where we need to go if we're looking at right now on a collective level. They're trying to invert it with all the war games and all the bullshit over in Israel and all the shit that's going on all around with the war and the war drums with this Aries energy, on the inversion. But it's actually there because Aries is the self. So when we're looking at how we're integrating on a self level, okay, so where do I need to level up myself? And that's what this is all about. Where do I need to heal? And then where do I need to take my gifting so I can take them to the next level? So when we're dealing with that energy, that's it. And then, of course, that Saturn conjunction with Sun is all about then taking a checkup from the neck up, starting to realize that energy of Saturn, that Saturnian energy, the karmic aspects in our lives, where are we still dealing with that? To relationships, to our own partnerships, even, all the way down the line to, just look at, allow the Saturnian energy to challenge you during that period of time. That's going to be happening at the end of the month on the 28th. And that's what that is signaling. So it's kind of a reality check to get your shit together, take it to the next level, so that's kind of a bird's eye overview of, what we've talked about.
Yeah, I love it, man. Rodney, you always bring the fire, and we appreciate you very much. If you got value out of this, give a thumbs up down below. If you've not yet
Yes.
subscribed, make sure you do subscribe to the channel and help us grow and get the content seen by more people. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Rodney,
Yep.
please tell the people where they can find you and how they can work with you personally.
Yeah, so I think my link tree is in the comments on here.
Description down below.
Yeah, descriptions. Yeah, and then so you can go to the link tree, and all my stuff's there. You can access the website. You can get my email, hardcoreproductions9@gmail.com. I think my Facebook page is there. My regular page is there. I post stuff about astrology quite a bit. Kind of in the middle of a project right now, so I'm kind of pulled back on that a little bit, but I'm still putting stuff out. So, and then if you want to get a transit reading, and you're looking at wanting to start something, you're looking at wanting to get going on something, hit me up. I can help you, kind of integrate, give you, kind of look at the energies and say, okay, this is happening, that's happening, and let's form a game plan. So we can definitely do that. If you're just looking for a regular template reading on your solar spiral, we can definitely get into your system mechanics and how you tick. So there's a lot of different things that you can, hit me up for there with that.
Absolutely. Hit him up. The insight and information that he can offer you is absolutely invaluable, and actionable, which is the most important thing. So
it's tangible.
Awesome.
It really is tangible. I mean, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So awesome segment, brother. Always a pleasure to have you on the channel. We'll see you again, in a few weeks or so. Definitely going to keep this going.
Yeah.
Continuing to get lots of good feedback on this. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, and we will definitely see you on the next video. But until then, be empowered, inspired, and encouraged.